Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining us on this boiling hot day ahead of Gameweek 35. No Sam today, so we've had a certain Tom Johnson step in. Happy to see you, Tom. Good to see you. It's been a while. We did our first stream months ago, didn't we? But not had one since. So yeah, good to be back.
Yeah, good to be back on with you. As I got to do a public apology to Sam, I think, first up, because we had a lively debate about whether
a lively debate. Is that how you describe it? Yeah. Okay.
Well, we get on well, but a lively debate between Palmer and Iwobi. I'm sorry, I'm just getting the chat up on my phone so I can see it. But yeah, Iwobi did the business. Palmer didn't. So I think will take that one on the chin.
It's a pretty slim victory, though, isn't it? I mean
3 points.
3 points.
Sam did go for Palmer as well. But,
Yep, I think a lot of us went for Palmer, and it was an absolute disaster. Brian straight away says Sam's not here because of that debate. Yeah, you've scared her away, Tom.
So much so that her holiday to Paris is not relevant.
She booked it, even though she'd be doing it with me instead, just to get away from you. That's how bad it was. Get rid of you from by extension. James C in the chat. Welcome to the warm weather as everyone's out stream. Yeah, it's probably going to be quite quiet today because if you're inside and listening to us, then what's going on. What you need to do is grab yourself a nice drink, find a pub garden or outside area, and listen to us there rather than sitting so boiling like we are. Doubles announcements, straight in. Nemanja, thoughts on no doubles / blanks? Shame, right?
Yeah, it's probably made it easier, but obviously that's probably not what we want. To game rank as well, especially both of us pushing for the top 100k. Probably would have minded
catching you up
couple of doubles. Yeah.
Don't want got another 10 points on you this week.
What did you get? You got 100 then, did you?
I'm on 92 with Mbuma left.
I got Wood tonight, so we'll see. And Mbuma is highly owned, isn't he?
You can tell this stream is different without Sam here. That was a perfect opportunity for some Wood banter.
I've already been laughed at in the team call this at work today for saying I've got Wood tonight.
Good. Is that, Chris, I'm imagining, probably found that fairly amusing.
Yeah, Chris did.
Of course he did. Good stuff. It's changing my plans. I did black box last night and asking about my transfer plans and stuff. Didn't really have a clear idea of what I was doing. It's a lot clearer now. I wanted to sell my Palace players. Didn't want to sell them. Obviously had the double game week. Coming, no double game week. I'm selling 2 Palace players. Going to bring in my boy Cunha, who's just been amazing every time I've owned him this season. It's his final push for the wall. I think the wall behind me, wall of legends behind me, and a certain Brian Mbuma, who I think is going to be very popular. So do you know what? I'm disappointed there's no doubles. I think that's obviously the big chance to gain some big rank rise. Would have been fun to have captain Eze again, or like a Clivert or someone like that. It's going to be a fairly routine end to the season, but I think for us, like you say, we're sort of pushing on to the top 100k. I think it makes things a bit easier for us, and hopefully we can push on. Mike Parsons says no doubles. Nope, there are no more doubles scheduled between now and the end of the season. Well, we are still waiting for the results of the Villa Spurs game, but I don't know about you.
Villa said no, so I can't really see why they'd push it any further.
Can't see it. No. Dave M, as is catching up to you up, Tom. How many points are you off Mark now? How many points am I off Mark now? Mark is on, let me tell you, Mark is on 2280 and I'm on 2275. So I'm 5 points behind Mark, but he's still somehow got the triple captain to play. I don't know when he's going to play that. No, there's no
Chris
doubles.
Wood against Leicester.
God, it is going to be a
Double
Chris Wood masterclass, isn't it? So like that. Yeah, because did you see he accidentally free hitted? You see all that?
I didn't look into it, but I saw on Twitter he said that. So did he have time to make his team then?
Well, he sort of. He was meeting me, Andy, and Luke in London, and he messaged and was like, "Oh, I've pressed the free hit button," and we were like, "Well, it's fine, just cancel it." And he's like, "No, I've pressed the free hit button and I've confirmed transfers," and we were just like, How have you managed that, Mark? That's even more stupid than my bench boost last year.
That's like 3 confirm buttons.
Yeah. So he made 3 transfers. I think it was from -8 because he didn't have much of a team for that week. Somehow pressed those 3 buttons, like you said, got the free hit in, and then made one more transfer, I think. So I think he only made 4 changes to his team. Annoyingly, he had a pretty good week on the free hit, and he somehow managed to get through the blank pretty much unscathed as well. So you know what, it could have been a lot worse for him. So I wouldn't say I'm happy for him, but I wouldn't say at all that I'm happy for him, but. Yeah, at least it wasn't a complete. It would be bad if I beat him off. He free hitted and that was the reason. I think if you were to offer him 4 weeks left, 5 points ahead of me, and the triple captain's play, I imagine you take it, right, in a mini league.
Yeah, you'd have thought so.
Yeah, James Simarker's lost it. Yeah, lost it completely. I know. What have they gained? What have they gained? For the people who've hired him. James, you also asked -4 to bring in Cunha for Isak, Marmoush, or Mateta. Already bringing in Mbumo for Saka. What do you reckon?
I mean, that is basically me because I have those 3 strikers and I'm doing that transfer, and it hasn't crossed my mind to do that for a hit. I don't think.
Which one would you sell?
I wouldn't sell Isak. Sorry, as a Brighton fan, but not that defensively.
Beat them twice already this season. I think you're fine.
Yeah, I saw you haven't lost to them at home in 7 years or something.
Yeah,
ever since you got promoted, yeah. Marmoush sounds like he'll start because Haaland, Pep said he's probably not going to be ready. So I guess it'd be Mateta, but I wouldn't really sell Mateta for a hit. I don't think. Then you're relying on Mateta not scoring at home to Forest. That could very easily happen.
So I am selling Mateta for a hit, but that is to gain the funds to get Mbumo, right?
Yeah.
So I can do. I can do Eze to Mbumo and Mateta to Cunha. If I don't do the Mateta move, I can't afford the Mbumo move, and I'd have to sell Saka or Salah to get him.
You don't want to sell Saka?
I don't know. I just don't think they're going to get through in the Champions League. So I think.
But do you think he starts? Is he on your bench this weekend or
no?
Do you think he starts?
Yeah, I think he starts. I think he starts, and I think when they're out, I think he plays the rest of the season. Can't really see why he wouldn't.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
I mean, maybe I'm completely wrong. I can see why people are going off him, but yeah, I mean, he's a lot of money, 10.5. I just think the start against Ipswich sort of framed to me that he's still going to play when he's available, and Arteta obviously wants to cement. I think he wants to get as close to Liverpool as he can, and when they're out of the problem with keeping Saka is obviously they get through against PSG next week, and then.
But even then, like it's game week 38, is it?
Yeah. Oh, it's ages away, but you've got to think he's gonna see less minutes, right? I don't know. I think he's okay to keep, but yeah, I mean it's Liverpool away, isn't it? In 36, it's Newcastle, but Southampton away. You're really going to want to go into game week 38 without Saka?
Yeah, although I suppose when it's 1 week you could transfer, but
yeah,
I like Mbumo this week. I'll probably captain him, I think.
Yeah, same. James, he says Saka off it, needs more recovery time. Yeah, he's not looking. The best game I've seen him play was when he was it was against Madrid, wasn't it? When he came back and
when he missed the pen and then scored.
Yeah. He looked good in that game. So I think he's all right. Speaking of resting, do you think Palace will rest players in game week 36? Instead of Mullins 100, sitting at 10k, will be shifting Saka Salad. Although. I suppose you don't really make friends with Salah anyway. Mateta for Mbumo, and Bowen. Any views?
Do I think Palace rest players a week before the cup final? I don't think so. I don't. Glasner rarely rotates, and I don't really see why you wouldn't want to give your starting 11 an hour before the cup final. I mean I guess who could you? Munoz won't get rested. He never gets rested.
He rotated against Arsenal.
He did, but that was 3 days before, wasn't it?
Mm.
I mean, yeah, he could start Nketiah, but I wouldn't worry about Munoz. Munoz has never been benched in a game he's available for in any competition at Palace. So I
am looking forward to getting rid of Palace players. I'm too heavily owned on them. A lot of us got three players. They're a funny team. You could argue they're sort of in a bit of form at the moment, given that they've had a good result against Arsenal, obviously through to the FA Cup. But I just think they've got Forest, Wolves, and Liverpool 3 of the next 4 games. That's 3 tough games. Okay, Spurs away is going to be
I'm happy to keep for 35 and 36. You know,
All three Palace. You play all three.
Saar is interesting because it's like this week I could just bench him for Rodgers, I suppose, but I definitely keep him Munoz. I think he's just unrivaled what he offers going forward.
Yeah. If to be fair, if I had Munoz, I'd probably keep him, but I'm on the
Mateta to Watkins is
triple
something
attack.
I could look at.
Yeah.
Tempting.
Yep, I don't hate that, especially with Rashford out. It also says Mateta comes off pre-60, though. Nueza says Mateta seems sellable. Mullins is keeping Munoz and Sarr. Yeah, Munoz and Sarr.
Saving his goals for the cup semi-final.
Yeah, I know. It's typical, isn't it? All these games.
He's good though. His data's so good.
Yeah. He's been an absolute standout. He has been a bit of a troll though, isn't he? I mean, how many attacking returns has he actually got? He's got one attacking return in 7 games. No, 6 games. One attacking return in 6 games.
Yeah.
All the time posting like pretty good underlying data and playing almost every minute. Excellent stuff. Brian says, is there a City mid to target?
I mean, the last home game, the De Bruyne, I think there might be something in that. I think it probably is De Bruyne at the minute, isn't it? But it's pretty... I mean, can you justify De Bruyne over Bowen or Bumo? I think it's pretty hard to do that. So probably not.
No. I mean, you need the security of the start as well, don't you? I know he started most in the league and missed out in the cup, but it's 36. It's Southampton. I really want to get in another Man City player for that. I just don't know where to go. I mean, Haaland might be available, like coming up in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, but if he doesn't get any minutes this week, he's not.
If Haaland's available for 36, would you be even remotely tempted? Yeah. But I'll go on further. Pep says Haaland's back. We need him to start. You know, we've got to get minutes in his legs. He'll be starting against Southampton.
Yeah, Salah's got Arsenal that week as well.
Yep.
But that game is the first game of the week, so there's always the shout of team news.
Yeah.
I mean, if we found out that, say, Savinho was starting against Southampton, I mean, that could be enough to just...
Well, I think any mid that if we get any team news, right, this is going to be popular. If Foden starts, if Savinho starts, I mean, even if like a Doku or a McAtee or anyone, if we get that knowledge that they are starting that game, I think there's going to be a lot of people that just go for it.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be same tomorrow night as well, right? Like we're probably going to get news before the Wolves game.
Yeah, true. I mean, but in 37, obviously they got the cup final and then the game on the Tuesday. I mean, it may well be that McAtee starts 2 league games and doesn't start the cup final, something like that.
Yeah, true. Yeah. I'm going to be tempted by a punt because I'm going to have Sarr just like sat there, and I think if I can move him to someone around his price point, like the 6 million mark, and try and get an extra play for that Southampton game, that's probably where I'll go. And like if we do get news that like a McAtee or like an O'Reilly or someone is starting, then it's, you know, or Oscar Bob. Like we see an Oscar Bob, like
Week 1.
Rare appearance. I know, the Game Week 1 bandwagon that never was. FPL Cycle says O'Reilly is a good, cheap Rashford replacement for me and allows transfer to Haaland later. Are people really going to be buying Haaland? I mean, after Southampton, I just... Bournemouth at home, Fulham away for the last 2 games.
I mean, if we were told he's starting against Southampton and you're chasing rank, that there's not going to be a better opportunity to get Haaland in, captain him, and...
I think you've
roll the dice.
Like there's not many opportunities left to roll the dice, right? If you're struggling around 500k, I think selling Salah and getting in Haaland, you know, if and when he plays some minutes and he gets on the pitch, probably isn't a bad idea. But I don't know. There's no way I'm going to be going there. I don't think it's not going to happen. George Gavin Foden worth a punt if he starts.
I mean, yeah, but then the next week you just...
How bad has Foden actually done this season? 7 goals, 3 assists.
They all came in a burst, if I remember. He didn't score for did he not? It took him...
He got...
he didn't score until game week 17.
He got 5 goals and 2 assists in 4 game weeks. Yeah. And other than that, hasn't done anything. Literally. If you owned him for Leicester away, West Ham at home, Brentford away, and Ipswich away, then you got like 40 points from him. But that is pretty much... He hasn't had any minutes
in the last 3 games.
Nuts. Absolutely crazy. I mean, Pep still keeps talking about him. It's going to be really interesting what happens with him next season. Obviously, De Bruyne's like leaving. We
Yeah.
think. Well, no, he's leaving, isn't it? That's all be confirmed. I think they need a shake up of that midfield anyway. It'd be interesting to see who they bring in. Are they able to get in? Rodri's obviously coming back. They've got Gonzalez, who's been playing really well. So like, have a strong base there, and then just let Foden run wild. I don't know. Be interesting to see what they.
Yeah. Or Marmoush just plays.
Or Marmoush plays
with Haaland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Joe Chua says Mateta to Watkins or Sarr to Bowen.
Mateta to Watkins.
I like them both.
I do like them both. I think Bowen this week. I think Watkins can possibly wait at home to Fulham, but Bowen for me this week is, if you want to buy Bowen, you've got to get him for Spurs, a rotated Spurs. I can't see how he doesn't score in that game.
I think I'd go for Bowen. Sarr to Bowen feels... Mateta to Watkins I feel like could go either way, whereas Bowen I think is a much better asset than Sarr. So if you could do that for free, then I'd be very tempted by that. Can I do that?
Because then next week you get Man United for Bowen after the Europa League.
I sort of hope that I can't afford to do that, because that would really change I can't afford to do that. It's fine. I'm going to stick with my previous plan. It's good. What about Elanga?
I'm guessing that's to sell, is it? Because he was... Or no, is it?
I reckon it's to buy. I don't think you'd be selling him now, would you? Now he's back.
It's only because he was benched in the cup final. Cup semi,
Brentford, Leicester, West Ham to play.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, do you think he's better than Gibbs White?
Yeah.
More explosive, yeah. Good differential then.
Yeah, I mean, Gibbs White has ticked along, but the underlying stats have been pretty poor. But it's 15 goal involvements for him. He's pretty consistent. He's had 17 the last 2 seasons. I think he's going to end up in and around that again. Yeah, you'd maybe hope that he could get a couple more than that and beat that return. But I wouldn't be surprised if he ended up on exactly the same, the hat trick of 5 goals and 12 assists again, or definitely kind of in and around that. So yeah, I don't mind Gibbs White. I think Elanga's the better pick though. I mean, the minutes have been a problem lately, but obviously he's had a bit of an injury. But they need him, don't they, for these final games? I mean, you're talking about a team with something to play for. If you buy into that narrative of wanting to get a team that with something left, Forest are the number one. They've been in that top 4, 5 all season. Finally dropped out. How do you feel as a Chelsea fan? Do you reckon you're? I can't believe Chelsea are even in the running for it. It's absolutely ridiculous.
I don't know. I think we've been all right this year, but I mean, we were obviously second at Christmas, and then kind of went downhill a bit. But yeah, I think we're unlikely to get in it, but I wouldn't rule it out. I've stupidly thought all week that Liverpool are going to be hungover this Sunday, and we might have a chance, but
I just can't really remember a game where recently where I've seen you play well, but you seem to be getting results. You haven't lost in 5 games. You've had quite tricky games as well. You've played Fulham away. That's difficult. Everton, I thought that would just be a 0-0 draw. I think you struggled to break them down. You got the sort of relatively early goal and looked fairly comfortable. A good draw against Brentford as well. I mean, the Ipswich result was a bit crap, but generally speaking, you've been doing all right. I mean, you had a pretty.
Have you
rough
seen our
run.
defensive data as well?
You're over the season.
Yeah,
And over the season as well, it's looking good. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't. Forest have been such an exciting team all season to watch, and their tactics with lowest possession in the league, counter-attacking football. Players like Chris were coming through. Whereas Chelsea have they seem to have got worse as the season's gone on, but are just somehow still sticking.
I mean, yeah,
around
it's correlates with Palmer just falling off a cliff, really.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to have to beat Forest or Newcastle away, and we're probably going to struggle to do that.
Yeah.
So.
Wildcard this week, says Geraldine Wilson. People have still got the wildcards. It's quite impressive.
I guess. I mean, most people's teams seem to look all right this week, but obviously you've got to use it sooner rather than later. Would there be any changes this week to next week?
I don't think so. Not now we know the doubles,
you'd
right?
probably go for it, I guess. I guess if you're happy, because next week you're going to want triple Forest at home to Leicester, aren't you? So if you're happy to, load up on basically swap your Palace and Forest this week, I think is good because you get Boomo, Bowen, Yeah, I guess the only thing would be like Marmoush. Do you go Marmoush one more week and then
Yeah.
give up next week when Haaland's fit? I don't know, but
That's
I'd
the
probably
one thing,
use
isn't it? I think if now we know that Haaland is potentially back, you're going to find it a lot easier to get him if you wildcard next week rather than this week. I think if you wildcard this week, surely you're not going to leave money in the bank to do that. You know, unless you've got transfers, you can take Salah out and that. But no, I would wildcard this week because I think you're maximising the potential from it. It's a tricky week this week, though. I mean, people are asking quite a few questions about the best captain this week. You mentioned Mbumo earlier. Like anyone else you're thinking about?
I mean, obviously Salah. I mean, I struggled to captain him anyway against Chelsea, but I don't know. Like, how do you feel as that as a neutral? I mean, do you think Liverpool will win?
I'm really intrigued to see what kind of team Slot puts out for it. I imagine he plays a strong team again and is trying to instill the mantra that, you know, we can't rest even when we won the league and it's all about the next game and, you know, all of that rubbish. I don't think he's going to do what Pep did when he benched half the team sort of every game. But I mean, I think that was a Champions League final like ahead, wasn't there? And he was giving minutes to players who maybe hadn't played so much. I think the only position that's really under threat is that right back spot. I don't know what he does with that. I think the rest of the team remains pretty strong, but I don't know whether he says, right, Bradley, I know Bradley's flagged at the moment, but you know, say Bradley's fit. You know, do we stick with Bradley and let him play some minutes with the expectation that Trent's gone and the league's won and all that, or if he is playing his strongest team, then he obviously sees Trent as part of the strongest team because that's why he gave him the Spurs game.
Yeah, I mean, as Nikolai says in the chat, Jota and Elliott are probably the players that would deserve a start.
Yeah,
I would say. And then, I mean, Chiesa needs one more appearance to get a medal. So, I mean, but you could bring him on for a minute at the end. It doesn't really matter.
I would be amazed if Chiesa started any game.
No, I know. I really don't think he will. There was an article on Scout this week about what Slot did at Feyenoord when he won the league, and he made like one or two changes. He didn't.
Yeah,
he didn't go crazy. And Salah's already said he knows he needs one more return for the record.
Yeah.
So
yeah, they're all aware. They're all aware of this stuff. Arne Klopp says, sort of said he wanted to get over 90 points. I'd expect a strong team at the weekend. I think he will as well because you know, there's been some criticism, hasn't there, of Liverpool. You know, saying, well, the league's been really poor this season, and you know they've dropped off a bit lately, and obviously out of the Champions League. I don't think he's going to be content with being in and around an average season. I think if he can get over 90 points, then he can look back and say, look, we absolutely smashed the league.
Yeah.
There's no debate here. Whereas if they kind of limp over the line over the next few weeks, that there might be a slightly different narrative spent. So I think they go strong. I agree about Elliott.
I think they go strong.
I think they both get minutes. Yeah.
I think they go strong. I just think that if Chelsea, if we do start well, they could potentially be a bit sluggish. That's the one thing. But I mean, you'd still put money on Salah again in attack.
We saw it with Villa last season, right? Villa got Champions League, had like 3 or 4 weeks left. We all made a joke that they were going to be partying and drunk. They were awful every week. Barely turned up like at the end of it. So yeah, I don't know, it'd be a very interesting game at the weekends. I mean, if Florent
but you're not going to captain Salah though. Sorry, just to finish that captaincy.
No, because that's the next question, right? I mean, that's what Florence says. I mean, do you go no Salah on a wild card? Like, none of us are really considering captaining him. I'm probably not going to captain him again between now and the end of the season. So would you not even own him?
Arsenal at home, no. Brighton away, and then 38 is Palace at home. I probably want him for 38. I would say I haven't really considered selling him, partly because I'm selling Saka and that gives me all the money. If you were wildcarding next week and you found out Haaland was starting, then it's a bit of a decision to make. But I wouldn't really, probably not considering.
I tell you, if I was, which was a very strong possibility a few weeks ago, if I was in and around 400, 500,000, I wouldn't be picking Salah on a wildcard.
You don't think there's enough other positions to?
I think there is, but I want to make sure every position is maximised. I just think the best way of gaining rank is to go against the most highly owned, the most captain player each week. If all I cared about, there's no difference to me between finishing 300,000 and finishing 800,000. It's all in and around the same number. So if you want to push on, this is where you've got to make some calls. And I think there's enough midfielders, I think, to to risk it and go elsewhere. So yeah, I wouldn't be having him if I was 100k and I was just looking to see the season out. I wouldn't be doing it, but you've got to make some pretty dramatic things. There's so few weeks left, and how much really is he going to hurt you over the next 4 weeks? I mean, he hasn't had a big haul since Gameweek 28. That was against Southampton. Like you said, he's got Chelsea, he's got Arsenal. Brighton away, we could turn up in that game. And then Palace on the final day, who knows? I can't see him getting back-to-back 15s. I've jinxed it now. But I can't see him getting back-to-back double-digit hauls in any of these games. So,
who are you captaining next week if you don't captain Salah? I mean, Chris Wood, if you...
Yes,
Chris Wood.
Well, I'm not even sure I'm going to own Chris Wood. So if I do need to own Chris Wood, don't I? How much is Chris Wood? He's not more than 7, is he?
7.
Oh, 7. Okay, I can get Chris Wood instead. Yeah, maybe I'll get Wood instead of Cunha then. I can afford either. It'd be Wood, right? Leicester have got the worst defensive data over the last 3 weeks. Oh God, I'm so glad Wood is 7 million. I've owned Wood for 3 weeks this season. One of which he was injured. 2, he blanked. I think it's the only times. Oh no, he did put together 3 back-to-back blanks between game week 16 and 18. That was a good 3 weeks. Other than that, it's been pretty rare for him to do that. Consistency is just absolutely unreal. This guy.
Yeah, his data's not even that good. Like I was looking for tweets and stuff to do for Scout, and it's it's not actually that impressive apart from his conversion.
35% conversion, which I think Mark said is the highest the league's
it's the highest for any player.
Yeah.
But that's the most unsustainable stat. So, in theory,
absolutely ridiculous. Aryan says, "Hi Tom and Az, should I keep a midfield 5 of Salah, Gibbs White, Bowen, Mbumo, and Sarr?" Nothing wrong with that.
No, I don't think. Yeah, I wouldn't prioritize the transfer out this week for sure.
No, I think keep it this week. Sarr's probably the one of those which I think Gibbs White could be a decent differential. Sarr, I don't know. I still have my doubts about him. He's the one, but you might not have a huge amount of money to play around with. He's the one. Watch out for Man City next week, because if you do get news that one of the cheaper midfielders starts, you might be able to do a cheeky little Sarr to Man City mid move. Squirrels, I'm 6 behind in my mini league, similar to Mark and I. And Mbumo in for Saka. Is a hit worth the risk? Bowen or Visser in for Savio or Mateta?
I'd get Bowen in for a hit and just leave him till the end of the season, I think, for Savinho.
Bowen in for Savinho for a hit.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Savinho might not even start. And Bowen against Spurs, I just think that could be... It looks perfect.
Savinho's been a disaster, isn't he? I feel really sorry for anyone that went with him in game week 31, 32, because he'd started, 6 games in a row and looked half decent, and then you bring him in, and then he does nothing.
And then Pep suddenly talking about, he's great, but we don't play with wingers anymore. I was like,
I know.
Changed his mind.
Yeah, I think Savinho is a priority sell at the moment. So yeah, I think I agree. I think I can completely see why lots of people are losing faith in Mateta, and I'm talking about getting rid of him. But I think you can keep him. He's fine. He will start. I imagine that all of the next games, they want to get his confidence up again. It was a big goal for him. I think that one against Arsenal, because there's a couple of question marks being asked around him, and So
I'll probably just keep him for 1 week and then get Chris Wood for Leicester.
Would you captain Bowen this week?
Yeah, definitely. I think he's probably 2nd or 3rd, but I think Mbumo is just slightly better.
Yeah,
because he's on penalty. Is Bowen on penalties?
Not with Paqueta on the pitch.
No. Yeah. So it's Mbumo.
Yeah. Sarr or Murphy to Mbumo. Yeah. What about the Newcastle mids? Murphy's a keep, isn't he? Got to be.
Yeah, Bright. I mean, I don't see why you'd sell him, I guess. Who do you not have? I mean, if you could upgrade him to Bowen or Mbumo, then but elsewhere, I don't think so. I mean, the question is Sarr, Murphy to Mbumo. I would probably do that.
Sarr to Mbumo feels like a huge
does feel
upgrade.
Better, yeah.
I mean, I'd do either. If you asked me to pick one, I'd pick Mbumo, obviously, out of the 3.
What if you had Barnes? 2 blanks now.
I'd be getting rid of him. Yeah, I'd
Gordon,
be getting rid of him. I think with Gordon around. But I mean, again, I think a lot of people on the free hits went for Barnes over Murphy, right? And again, Murphy showed up with the assist. Yeah, but I just think that Gordon's knocking on that door. Like he's
going to start at some point, isn't he?
He's got to. And I mean, they could move Barnes over to the right, couldn't they, and play him there? But I can't see why they would drop Murphy with the form he's in. I mean, his points are just absolutely ludicrous over the last like 5 weeks. Absolutely crazy. Speaking of which, Nick says start Murphy or Eze.
That is Brighton or Forest.
Forest at home.
Probably Eze, because I think Murphy you will get subbed off 65-ish.
Murphy up against Estupinan though. Oh, that's a tough one.
Do you think there's anything in the fact you never lose to Newcastle, or?
Nah.
There's not a reason there.
I don't think so. You know, the different managers of different play styles, different players. Like I don't really like those stats that much. There was one wasn't there one about Spurs and Liverpool? Like Spurs had scored at Anfield. Spurs had scored in every game at Anfield or something since whenever. And I know they got the goal against them like quite early, and everyone was like, "Oh my god!" But it didn't exactly change the narrative of that, did it? They got absolutely thrashed in the end. I don't know. I think this is a really tough one. Do you think Eze keeps pens?
Mateta
after the embarrassment that was this last one.
Didn't Mateta miss in the semi-final?
Yes,
he
did. But I think that was a bit different to the Eze one. I think that was a good save, wasn't it? Or it was.
So they have swapped them then.
Yeah.
So then did they swap them back? That seems to be a bit of a 50-50. That seems to sort of be who wants it at the time. Because I saw Mateta react, like when Eze missed it, Mateta flung his arms around and like he wanted it. But did you own Eze?
Oh yeah, of course, of course. And Mark had Pope as well, who made the save. It was absolutely bloody nightmare stuff. MK Dave, Brighton don't have any defenders. They make Spurs look good for 38. Yeah, we are struggling big time.
Van Hecker's back though.
Yeah. Which is good. I mean, yeah. Well, I took that to mean we don't have any defenders in, like we don't have any like good defenders, which is pretty accurate with how things are going. When Van Heck is out, it's just a complete disaster. So having him back is massive. I don't know what we do at centre back in the summer. We've got Cash in, who we bought in, very highly rated, barely played. Igor looked good at the start of the season, barely featured. Dunk. His time, I think, is probably up like pretty soon.
Yeah, I keep reading that he's done.
Yeah, I know. So I think that's a priority position for us. Our defense just isn't. It isn't what Hertzler wants. I don't think for how he wants to play football. So I think the last few weeks of the season, we probably are a good team to target because I think our games are going to stay chaotic. I mean, that West Ham game was such a chaos game, and in the end we got the win, but. Yeah, I think we're a good team to target. I mean, Spurs do look good for 38. I mean, obviously, if they make it to the European final, it's different. But I wouldn't be backing against like a Brennan Johnson or someone against us on the final day. Eze went and comforted Mateta, says Nikolai, when he missed. Different personas. Well, he has to, doesn't he? Did you see his miss? He can't exactly laugh at him or throw his arms up.
Someone else did it.
Exactly. I know. It was over the moon. Someone else missed a penalty. Florence says, have Marmoush and Wood. Which one do you choose for the third forward spot? Isak. Wow, no Isak. Isak, Visser, Watkins, or Cunha?
I think this guy's wildcarding because he asked no Salah on a wildcard earlier.
He's tilting as well if he's thinking of going out without Isak.
Marmoush and Wood. I mean, would you have Marmoush like if he could potentially only get one more week?
No, probably not.
Definitely have Wood.
I actually think all four of those are better options than Marmoush, potentially, for the last 4 weeks.
Visser, I really like. His data's been really good, and it'd be a great differential because I think everyone will own Mbumo soon enough. Watkins. What do you think about Watkins? Now he's probably nailed.
I feel a bit weird about when I think about Watkins. He didn't start in the Champions League. Emery made a bit of a statement with that. I don't know what happens to him in the summer. I feel like he's he's not like, I don't know. It doesn't feel like he's got the full backing of Emery, does it?
No,
And
no.
it wouldn't surprise me too much if Emery was looking for another striker. And I think if he's going to do that, he's going to have to sell Watkins, because you can't keep. I mean, what would Watkins go for? Like 65, 70 million, probably.
Yeah, yeah.
Like he's a great striker. I think he could play for any team probably in the league. Any team would be happy to have him. So I don't know.
They could go and get a guy called Duran in the Saudi league.
They could. Maybe he's sick of it over there and wants to come back. Yeah, I mean, there's not really anyone else that they can play up front, is there? They're a bit low on options. I'd imagine that he gets a start. He's the kind of player though who I think probably wants to make a statement about, you've dropped me for those really important games. He came back in the next game, absolutely smashed it. I feel like he's that type of player where, okay, in terms of attitude and confidence and ability, there's no question marks. It's just, what does Emery do with him? Without Rashford, I think he's a good option. I think I'd be tempted by him. I think if it was me, I'd be going Wood, Watkins, and
Visser.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Watkins finishes up with Spurs and United. I mean,
so that means no Isak. So we're both saying no Isak on a wildcard.
I mean, do you think there's a case to go Isak this week, then move him to Wood?
Yeah, you could do actually. Yeah, give him Brighton and then move him over. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. I think Chelsea, Arsenal, Everton, I can't see him hauling hugely in any of those 3 games.
Reluctantly, I think we lose at St James's Park.
Yeah.
So
if you lose,
he hasn't actually been on fire.
That's it. I imagine that's the deciding game. That one for that spot, because I think Forest will do it.
Well, I mean, yeah, if they lose tonight, it gives us a buffer. But yeah, I guess Isak, he hasn't been on fire recently. It hasn't got a double digit since Gameweek 26.
Yep. 3 goals in the last 7 games, I think it is. 3 goals in the last 8 games. 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 3 goals in the last 8 games. Hasn't played 90 since Gameweek 24. He's getting early subbed. Obviously, Wilson's knocking about.
In 37, when he plays Arsenal and Watkins is home to Spurs, that could be pretty easy.
I think you're right though. I think you give him the Brighton game. You don't need Wood for this week. Yeah. You keep Isak for this week.
Speak for yourself.
And then you move him over. Well, I will be getting Wood this week. Now we've done this stream together. I'm all in on the Wood train. Watkins to Arsenal, says British 87. That'd be a perfect signing for them, right?
It would be perfect, yeah.
Absolutely perfect for them.
Would you rather get Watkins for 65 or Delap for 30?
Watkins for 65.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I rate Delap, but I think there's still an element of risk.
I think we're getting Delap, I think.
Yeah, I mean he's a good player. Looks strong, scores goals. I mean he was a menace against us. When I went to the Ipswich game at the start of the season, he got taken off I think at 50 minutes and he just hit the post. He was absolutely every time he got the ball, our defence was terrified of him. Yeah, it was surprising when I saw him go off, and he's had a good. I mean, how many goals he got? About 12, 13 goals.
Yeah, I think it's 12. Yeah,
it's decent.
I'd be happy if we got him because him and Jackson I think could work well. And yeah, I
just think Watkins is a class
he is
class
good.
above. Yeah. This is a player who can consistently get between 15 and 20 goals for you. Delap, he's had one good season, but he's going to need to carry that on.
If he's 9 mil at Arsenal next season, that's
It's
Gameweek 1 locked in, isn't it?
Yeah. Like when Jesus he was about that price, wasn't he? Was like 995. Yep. Cool. Let's take one question. I'm absolutely roasting in this room, so I'm going to finish the stream and I'm going to go throw some ice on myself. We're going to take one more question. But we're still on the Villa train. Do you think Asensio's minutes will improve with Rashford out?
I mean,
I don't.
I'm just getting them up. So he started 3 of the last 4.
Yeah.
And did he start the Champions League? I don't think
he did. No, because they had Ramsey in the first one, didn't they? Maybe he started the second game. He might have started the second leg.
I don't know. I guess, but who you're picking him over would be you're going to choose him over Elanga, Gibbs White, who play Leicester next week, Bowen.
I think his minutes stay the same because I think Watkins just comes in for Rashford up top. Rashford hasn't been playing that often on the left anyway. And then they've got like Marlon who can play on the right. They've got Ramsey on the left. They've got Rodgers who's playing through the middle. There's going to be rotation amongst those
Bailey's
anyway.
knocking about.
Bailey's knocking about, exactly.
And is there a point that he's on loan and like, do they prioritize next season? Or?
Unless they want to sign him and they want to, show some faith in him or whatever, but they haven't done that in the crucial games. So, nah, I don't know. I don't think Rashford makes any difference. I would expect Asensio to start most games, but like you said, I just don't think it's worth it. I think there's better options out there. Right, nice one. We've rattled through the questions today, Tom. Look at that.
Favourite ice lolly. You missed that one.
Oh, favourite ice lolly. Do you know, I've had an ice lolly in ages.
Twister would be,
Twister's a good one. Yeah, Twister. I do like a Twister. I realised I'd matured when I was like I wasn't picking like Fabs and Twisters and those things. I was going for like Soleros, That's when you... That's what, yeah, exactly. Because they were like £2 like at the shop. And I was like, oh, check me out. I've got like adult money now. I can afford a Solero. I like a Calippo.
Yeah.
They melt at the bottom and then you like...
Yeah.
Have it down.
Decent.
Yeah, decent. Oh god, I want a Calippo now. I don't think I've got any in the house, or I don't even think the corner shop's even nearby. I can't. It's too hot to even move to the shop, but
yeah, it's far too hot.
Yeah, I might consider it. Lovely stuff. Thank you all for tuning in. Do head over to Fantasy Football Scout to check out all the great articles that are being written over there. You can read about this non-double game week if you like, and see some like targeted players to pick for the final 4 games. Good luck in all your mini leagues as well, and good luck in 35. Don't forget the deadline is tomorrow, so don't get too hot and be sunbathing outside and nap through it like I'm sure many people will do. Tom, thanks for joining me. I think it's Sam again next week, but yeah, hopefully I'll see you when I go again soon.